And hello, everyone. Welcome to Cecilia's Tech Corner. And this is our second episode where we'll be talking about artificial intelligence. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been about a month since our last episode, so I'm really excited to be back with you all. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that has been trending for the last few years. And we can safely say there is an AI hype. What's interesting is that it's been an evolving hype. First, we heard a lot about machine learning, then it shifted to deep learning. After that, generative AI exploded, Gen AI everywhere. And now we're transitioning into the AI agents hype. So, what's next? Don't worry, we'll touch on everything I just mentioned. But why this episode? Because there is a lot of confusion around what AI actually is. There are myths, fear, and this sense of mysticism. Like AI is some magical thing that just appeared out of nowhere, Skynet, Terminator, all the things. No, just kidding. There's so much content around AI that we could easily be here for hours. Or turn into maybe can turn this into many episodes. So for today, I try to simplify things and focus on what I think is the most important concepts, especially for anyone who's just getting started. So before we jump in, make sure you support the channel by subscribing to my channel and don't forget to like the video if you're enjoying it. We also have a live chat, so if you are live right now, you need to subscribe to participate. And if you're watching this later, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, not just about today's topic, but also about what you'd like to see in future episodes. So, all right, let's break the ice with a quick question, just to get started. Um, Type in the chat or in the comments when you hear the word AI. What's the first thing that comes to mind? No, there are no right or wrong answers. Just write the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about AI. When someone says artificial intelligence, or drop it in the comments. And here's a fun one, just to follow that one. Do you think AI is more helpful? I see Barca, she's saying something scary. Ooh, it's like a Halloween thing, artificial intelligence. Thank you, Barca. And here's a fun one, a second question for you. Do you think AI is more helpful, overhyped, or I already had this question, right? Or a little scary. Barca already said it's a little scary, but what do you think? Drop one word in the chat. I love it. It's somewhat scary. It could become scary, right? If we think about those movies that we see out there. Let's see. It can be helpful, and I do think it's overhyped. Yes, both at the same time. I completely agree with that. All right, let me bring the. You see, I see someone else saying, Giuseppe saying AI adaptation to the change, heavy change. Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm looking for my presentations, but all right. So let's start with what what artificial intelligence actually is. And I like to describe AI as humans mimicking human capabilities using technology. And I want to put the strong emphasis on the humans part because it is us building all of this. AI is not something that appears out of thin air, right? There is no magic happening behind the scenes. We design the systems. We write the softwares, the code. We use mathematics, statistics, and algorithms. We feed AI with the data from countless sources. We build the platforms The services, machines, and even the robots. Yes, robots are being out there right now, where AI lives and operates. Hmm? So when we talk about AI, what we're really talking about is this: computers performing tasks that are typically associated with human intelligence. Things like reasoning, decision making, learning from experience, problem solving. And this is a good moment to bust a common myth. AI is not thinking. Or what do you think? AI is not thinking. It doesn't understand the world the way humans do. It doesn't have awareness, intention, or common sense. What it does have is the ability to recognize patterns. And it does that at a scale and a speed that humans simply can't, because we are able to recognize those patterns as well, right? But how much can we actually do, right, with our brains? That distinction alone makes AI a lot less mysterious and a lot more understandable. And when we talk about I believe that one helpful way to make sense of it is to look at what its purpose is. What is this AI actually trying to do for us? At a high level, most of the AI we interact with today falls into three main types. We can say these three main types. You may find different names for this. But first, we have the assistive AI. This is AI designed to help us to do tasks more easily, faster, or with less effort. Think of it as a digital assistant or a helpful teammate. Examples of assistive AI include drafting or rewriting emails. How many of us use those capabilities that we already have if you're using some online email box, right? Summarizing meetings or long documents, helping you organize notes or ideas, explaining something in simpler terms. And if we think about assistive AI for accessibility, it's incredibly powerful because we can create live captions. For example, if you're watching this, perhaps YouTube has enabled the live captions. I'm not writing the text for those captions or anything. It's just AI doing it for us, reading text out loud, describing images, helping people interact with technologies in ways that work best for them. The type of AI isn't replacing your work, it's supporting you. That's how I like to see it. And next we have predictive AI. Predictive AI focus on answering one big question. What's likely to happen next? This type of AI looks at patterns from past data and uses them to make educated guesses about the future. You've probably seen predictive AI in action more than you realize. AI, for example, this is if you work in a business, you probably hear about business forecasting for the future revenue. Maybe you want to know the revenue for next week. Online stores recommending products you might like. Netflix or Spotify suggesting shows or songs, your credit card company sending fraud alerts, and so on. I mean, there are so many different examples that you're already experiencing. That's predictive AI. And it doesn't know the future. It simply uses patterns to make very good guesses. And in many cases, those guesses are good enough to be extremely useful. And finally, we have generative AI. And the one getting the most attention right now, generative AI is, you may hear generative AI or Gen AI, that's the friendly name, is about creating new content. Rather than just analyzing what already exists, it can generate text, images, summaries, videos. We've seen those videos when you can put your picture out there and it can create a video from you using your voice. That's amazing, right? It blows your mind what AI can do. It can code for you, program, right? Ideas and graphs. You mentioned tools like ChatGPT and Claude are great examples of generative AI. You give them a prompt and they generate something new based on the patterns they learn. What's important to remember is this: generative AI isn't being created in a human way. It's assembling content based on patterns. So we're reinforcing this concept, right? Is based in patterns that it has seen before. Still, when we use it well, it can incredibly powerful starting point to be. So, oh, quickly going back. Sorry about that. There we are. So when we hear the term AI, it's helpful to ask: Is this AI helping me? Is it predicting something, or is it just creating something? Well, just it is. Is it creating something? It does wonderful things. Most tools today combine more than one of these types. But thinking about AI this way makes it much easier to understand, especially if you are not technical. And now we are in everyday uses of AI. Correct. Here is something that sometimes we may not realize. We are already using AI every single day. Even if you've never touched ChatGPT, which is the popular one right now, we use AI on the go for GPS rerouting, voice to text, smart camera, filters, airline apps predicting travel delays, your credit card fraud detections. We use it at home, smart home devices, perhaps your thermostat or your cameras or your even the lock in your door. I mean, everything can be connected. All of those, the refrigerator, right? Everything now can come with AI. So yeah, we can use it at home. We use it for photo search in your phone. I mean, in our phones, of course. Show me pictures of puppies, for example. Translations, spam filters, Amazon recommendations. We mentioned this when you're shopping and it's recommending some product for you. Well, that's AI behind the scene. And of course, at work, meeting summaries, organizing notes, drafting emails or suggesting replies, cleaning data. If you're into doing some data analysis, it can clean data in Excel for you or any other tool that you may use. It can generate code or formulas. It can create documents. I mean, proposals. If you're into proposing business, I mean, it's endless what she can do. It's completely amazing. So we can definitely say that AI isn't common. It's already here, and we are using it daily. That is why learning to use it intentionally is so important. Now, this is where it helps us step back and look at the bigger picture. AI is a very broad concept or a very broad area. It's not one single thing, it's a collection of different capabilities that computer can have. On this visual, you can see the outer circle represents the whole AI. Inside, you see several capabilities you probably heard mentioned before. Not all of them are there, but just to mention some of them that are popular. Things like computer vision, the ability for machines to see and interpret images and video, speech recognition, understanding and responding to spoken language, natural language processing or NLP, working with human language like text and conversation, robotics, systems that can act or move in the physical world. Then we see machine learning systems that that can learn patterns from data instead of being explicitly programmed. All of these fall under the large umbrella of AI. Now, notice how machine learning is shown as a smaller circle behind AI. That's because machine learning is one way we build AI, not the only way, but a very important. Machine learning is about teaching computers to learn from examples and data rather than giving them step by step instructions. Inside machine learning, we have an even more specific capability called deep learning. This is where models become more complex and more powerful in using layers to recognize patterns at a much deeper level. And finally, inside deep learning, we have generative AI. The type, as we mentioned before, this is the type of AI that can create new content like text, images, and summaries. The reason this visual is important is because it shows how these ideas or fields relate to each other. When people say AI, they might be thinking about any of these layers or several of them working together, because also you can use them to create something different. And we will see one of them at a later point. So for the next few minutes, let's walk through some of these capabilities at a higher level, just enough to understand what they are and where you see them in real life. How are we doing there? I know some of you are already using AI in your life, both as consumers and as developers. So let's start with computer vision. This is the part of AI that allows computers to see and understand images and videos, as we mentioned, in a way that is useful. Not like humans see, I mean, it's completely different, right? But by analyzing pixels, shapes, colors, and patterns in those images. One core capability is image recognition, identifying what's in an image. For example, your phone recognizing faces in photos. You may have, I have an iPhone, right? And sometimes I have a list of people showing up in my in my photos, so I can search by the face of that person. That's AI. Security systems identifying peoples or vehicles. Medical imaging software detecting anomalies in X rays or MRIs. Closely related to that is image tagging or classification. This is when AI automatically labels images. Um, like this is a dog, this is food, this is a receipt, and that's how your phone lets you search your photo library by typing beach, car, even if you never tagged the photo yourself. Another important capability is object detection. This goes a step further. It doesn't just recognize what's in the image, it identifies where things are. Real world examples include self driving cars detecting pedestrians, traffic lights, and other vehicles, retail stores tracking inventory on shelves, sport broadcasts highlighting players or the ball in real time. That's absolutely amazing, right? Can you imagine? I mean, me as a developer, I think, can you imagine developing all this technology? How cool it is, how fun could be? Uh, then we have text and barcode recognition. And yes, things like a barcode reading and text recognition also fall under computer vision, like scanning a barcode at self checkout, mobile apps reading receipts, translating text from a photo instantly. I have a capability in the phone where I can like scan a document. It's called scanning. Well, that's computer vision. Digitizing paper documents. That's what it is. Computer vision turns images and videos into usable information. It's one of the reasons AI feels so seamless today. It allows machines to understand the visual world around us and react in real time. Moving on to speech recognition is the ability for AI to understand and work with human speech, not just hearing sounds, but turning spoken language into something a computer can act on. Speech to text, like converting spoken words into written text. You see this every day, like dictating a text message on your phone. Customer support calls being automatically transcribed. The opposite is text to speech, turning written text into spoken audio. Examples could be a GPS navigation giving voice directions, screen readers for accessibility, audiobooks generated from text. How many of you are using audiobooks? That's AI. Speech recognition also powers captions and subtitles we mentioned before. This includes live captions in meetings, subtitles on videos. I remember that a long time ago, we used to have to write the subtitles for movies or for videos ourselves. I mean, of course, you have some tools where it would like give you the different times in the video and you have to write the translation. I mean, it was very useful for translations. But we had to do that manually. Now AI can do it for us, and we don't have to lose time doing that. Accessibility features for people who are deaf or hard of hearing. This one is one of the most impactful uses of AI because it makes information accessible to more people. Another important capability is translation. AI can listen to spoken language and translate it into another language in near real time. You've probably seen this with translation apps while traveling. What else? Live translated captions in meetings, multilingual customer support. When applied to speech, AI can analyze tone, emotion, and intent, not just the word themselves. And this is when this natural language processing actually gets the spotlight, right? It's not only about speech recognition, it's text to voice, to audio, and vice versa. Now it can actually analyze that, the tone, the emotion, and intent. And examples of this could be detecting frustration in a customer support call, right? I mean, I'm calling a company and it's detecting if I'm upset or not. Identifying urgency in emergency services. Understanding whether someone sounds positive, neutral, or upset. It's not reading emotions like a human, but it's recognizing vocal patterns. And one more important capability is voice interaction. This is what allows you to ask a virtual assistant in this case, a question, control devices with your voice. Hey, Alexa, or whatever you have on your home. I don't have any of those. Interact with systems hands-free. It's speech recognition combined with understanding and action. So we can say that speech recognition is really about turning voice into action. I love that. And now is the time for machine learning. You heard a lot of this, I guess. We could say that machine learning is a combination of mathematics and statistics with technology, with software, actually. This is something that humans have been doing for, I mean, unassisted, right? Or very assisted on paper, perhaps, or even using calculators. But of course, there is a limit. That's why we involved and escalated this by using computers and we named it machine learning. This is where we create models, train them using data, evaluate and adjust the model if necessary, and finally use the trained model to make predictions on your data. This allows the machine to learn patterns so they can make predictions or decisions without being explicitly programmed for every scenario. But instead of thinking about machine learning as algorithms or models, let's think about this um, like machine learning is teaching computers by showing them examples, not by giving them instructions. Because in traditional software, we tell computers exactly what to do, right? Step by step, we write the code. In machine learning, we give the computer examples and it figures out the rules on its own. It's a shift from programming rules to learning from experience. At the high level, machine learning usually involves data, a target or a goal, excuse me, feedback, a way to know if something is well or not. There are three main categories of machine learning. Perhaps you have heard this or not, but here they are. We have supervised learning first, and we call it supervised because we guide the learning. Here we give the machine examples with answers included. We label the data and say, this is what right looks like. For example, showing past sales data and the actual revenue, and asking the model to predict future revenue. Labeling emails as spam or not spam. Training a system to recognize images by telling it what's in the image. The type of learning, and now notice how I said recognizing images, and we talked about computer science. See how now everything starts interconnecting, right? So this type of learning is like, we can call it task driven. We want the machine to predict the next value or make a specific decision. Next is unsupervised learning. We call it unsupervised because we don't give the machine the answers. Instead of labels, we say, here's the data, see what you can find. The machine looks for patterns, similarities, and groups on its own. Examples include grouping customers based on behavior, finding unusual activity in data, identifying natural clusters in large data sets. This type of learning is less predicting and more about discovering structure. And there is a third type that is called reinforced learning. This one is about learning through feedback over time. Instead of being told the right answer up front, the system learns by trying the things and seeing what works. Good outcomes get rewarded, but outcomes don't. Over the time, the system learns which actions lead to better results. These are very much like humans learn, right? When we are growing, I see my kid growing and doing things and learning, oh, this is wrong, and then they learn and they correct it, right? So it kind of looks like it comes from something like that. Examples of reinforcement learning include game playing AI, robots learning how to move, systems that optimize recommendations or routes. We call it reinforcing learning. The learning is reinforced by the results and not by labels. And there, I saw somewhere that there is like a fourth name, like a semi-unstructured or something like that. But that's actually a combination of the first two. It's combining a I'm sorry, supervised learning with unsupervised learning. So it's like mixing both of them, and they call it semi-supervised. It is. I think I said semi-unstructured. Um, but you don't need to remember the names. That what matters is understanding that machine learning is about learning from data, not being explicitly programmed. That's what's important. Now let's briefly talk about deep learning. Deep learning is a more advanced form of machine learning. It's especially useful when the problems becomes too complex for simpler approaches. At the core of deep learning are something called artificial neural networks. These are inspired by the way human brain works, not as a copy, but as an idea. Just like our brains, our brains use networks of neurons that connect and communicate. Deep learning models use layers of artificial neurons that pass information forward, learn from feedback, and adjust their connections over time. The word deep simply means there are many layers involved. Each layer learns something a little more detailed than the one before. And then there is the one you hear about it, we already mentioned it, is Gen AI. So what's make Gen AI different? We mentioned when we use capabilities like computer vision, we're asking AI to recognize something from the image, like identifying an image, an object in an image. When we use machine learning, we are often asking AI to predict something, like forecasting for next week. But when we use generative AI, it does something different. It generates new original responses, text, images, videos, ideas, and it does it in a very human-like way, especially through natural language interaction. This is why ChatGPT it looks and feels more like a conversational than traditional systems. And this is maybe why it makes us say, thank you. I love the answer. I like to describe Gen AI as machine learning on steroids. At its core, it's still machine learning, but at a massive scale. These systems are built using what we call large language models or LLMs. And the name is very literal large because they're trained on enormous amounts of data, language because they specialize in understanding and generating text, models because they're trained systems, they're not databases. Large language models are designed to understand context, recognize pattern in language, and generate responses that sound natural to humans. There are also models for text to image and for text to videos. But I wanted to introduce you to at least one of them, which is LLMs. It's important to remember that Gen AI doesn't know things the the human way. It doesn't reason like a person. It just predicts the next word, the next sentence, or the next image, how it should be based on patterns it has learned. That's what makes it powerful, and that's also why it needs human guidance and review. Because the AI still needs us. We have to supervise it. And what are agents? We mentioned that now the hype is around agents. Agents are software applications built on generative AI that can reason using natural language, use tools to automate tasks, and respond to context to take appropriate action. And see how we keep reusing different capabilities from AI here. All right? We mentioned generative AI, we mentioned natural language. Uh, and we can combine so many things with agents. In simple terms, agents are our digital assistants. And the powerful part is that we don't just have one assistant, we can have many agents working together, like a staff, each with a specific role. And what makes an agent work? Every AI agent is built around these three key elements that you see on screen. An LLM, this is the brain of the agent. The LLM is what allows the agent to understand what we are asking. It can reason about it and respond in natural language. Without LLM, it's just software. With it, the agent can interact in a human-like way. And next, we have the instructions, often called system prompts. These define what the agent is supposed to do, how it should behave, what rules it should follow. Think of this as the agent's job description and guidelines, right? That could be a cool way to say it. And finally, we have tools. This is what allows agents to actually do things. There are two main types of tools: knowledge tools, which give the agents access to information like documents, databases, or company knowledge, and then action tools, which allow the agent to take actions like sending mails, creating tickets, updating records, or triggering workflows. Examples of agents could be, if you're working for a company, there could be an HR assistant for questions about employee vacation. Maybe an employee vacation says, I want to find out the policy, blah, 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 and then the agents help them with that information. And even more, it can help them to process with the entire process of submitting and approving their vacation. If you think about customer service assistant, maybe you experienced this already. Perhaps answering via chat questions related to returning a product, or even handling the whole process of processing a return. When we use Amazon and we want to return, that's an agent there. There is not a person behind it, like taking our claim and asking questions. So it's asking us information, providing information, and then it's processing the return. That's an agent. Instead of AI just answering questions, agent can complete tasks, work across systems, and even coordinate with other agents. And this one is something that is very important when it comes to agents. Gen AI uses what is called language prompts. And we can differentiate two types. The system prompts, we mentioned the instructions that we give it on how to behave. So with this, we give the agent a purpose. And then we have the user prompts. It's basically the input from the user, what they ask. And to get the results, it is better to be clear and specific. So the better our prompt is, the better our results will be. So if we are clear and specific, prompts with explicit instructions or questions work better than the vague language. We can add context. We should add context, mention the topic, the audience, or format you want. You know, when you're drafting an email and you're asking maybe your GPT and say, okay, answer this email with a friendly tone, emphasize this, that's context. Use examples if you want to, a certain style. Provide an example of what you mean. You can practically talk to it like it is a person. As for a structure like bullet points, tables, or number lists, think that you are trying to tell AI what you want as an outcome. So the more information that you give, the better. And we are reaching the end. When we talk about these are benefits here. When we talk about the benefits of AI, it's important to keep things practical. AI isn't valuable because it's impressive. It's valuable because of what it allows us to do. Here are a few key benefits. Automation, one of the biggest benefits of AI is automation. AI can take over repetitive, time consuming tasks. Things like data cleanup, report generation, basic analysis, or draft content. That doesn't mean people become less important. It means that people get their time back to focus on higher value work. Speed. AI works incredibly fast. Tasks that might take a person hours or even days can often be done in seconds or minutes with AI. This speed helps teams move faster, respond quicker, and make decisions sooner. Accuracy. AI can also improve accuracy, especially when working with large amounts of data. It doesn't get tired, distracted, or bored. While it's still, I mean, it still needs human oversight, of course. AI is very good at spotting patterns, inconsistencies, and trends that humans might miss. And another major benefit is availability. AI tools don't need breaks, don't need vacations, and can be available 24/7. That makes them especially useful for support, monitoring systems, and on demand help. AI is also very consistent. Once it's set up, it performs the same task the same way every time, which is incredibly valuable for standardized processes. Scalability, yes, it scales easily. Helping one person or 1 million people doesn't change how tired AI gets. It can support growth without needing a proportional increase in resources. Of course, you may say it may need more compute or not, more compute power, right? That, yes, but this talks more about the human power, right? And finally, AI supports better decision making. It doesn't replace human judgment, of course, but it gives us insights, recommendation, and context that help us make more informed choices. Informed choices. And because while AI is powerful, it's not perfect. There are challenges and risks. First, there is bias. AI learns from the data, and if that data contains bias, the AI will will replicate it. For example, if historical hiring data favors certain group, an AI recruiting tool might do the same. This is why fairness and ethical AI practices are critical. And this will be a whole chapter, a whole episode conversation. Second, privacy. AI often relies on large data sets, which can include sensitive information, sensitive personal information, confidential information. If not handled properly, this raises serious privacy concerns. Regulations like GDPR and data anonymization are key safeguards. Third, we have explainability. Many AI models, especially deep learning models, are like black boxes. They make decisions, but it's hard to understand why. This lack of transparency can be a problem in areas like healthcare or finance where accountability matters. And finally, but not less important, security. AI systems can be attacked or manipulated. For example, adversarial attacks can trick image recognition systems, and prompt injection can mislead language models. Protecting AI systems is just as important as building them. So while AI offers incredible benefits, these challenges remind us that responsible development and governance are essential. And we've reached the end of today's episode. Before we wrap up, let me ask you this. What excites you the most about AI? Is it a specific capability? Are you excited or do you have concerns or fears? As Barca said in the chat, that it was a bit somewhat scary. Drop it in the chat or the comment sections. I always love to read your thoughts. So we covered a lot today, and honestly, we could keep going for hours. As we mentioned, we could make several episodes about this. But the key message I want you to leave with is artificial intelligence is not magic. It's technology created by humans. And like any technology, it comes with advantages, risks, and responsibilities. But AI is already here. We can fully embrace it, use it cautiously, or limit how much we rely on it. What truly matters is recognizing where AI can support you and applying it in ways that make sense for you. I see that someone is excited and not scary at all, Giuseppe. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you find this helpful, please make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with someone who could benefit from it. And if you have questions or ideas for future episodes, drop them in the comments or the chat. And thank you so much again. See you in the next live stream. Bye bye.